Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Profitable Copywriter podcast. I am so excited today. I am going to be welcoming my business mentor, Amy Porterfield, into the room. We are talking all about this month, about content, about how to become more freer in your life, whether you're already a copywriter, whether you are transitioning from a hard 9-to-5 job, or whether it's just you want to scale your income. So today we're going to be talking all about digital courses and whether they're the right fit for you. So welcome, Amy. I'm so pleased to have you on the podcast.
I'm so pleased to be here. Thanks for having me.
And tell me then a bit about yourself and why you're so passionate about teaching business owners, entrepreneurs, freelancers how to create and launch digital courses.
So when I was a corporate girl. I always say I'm an ex-corporate girl turned entrepreneur. And when I worked for corporate, I got to a point that I thought, I don't want to have a boss anymore. And the thing that's kind of awkward is I had this amazing boss. I worked for Tony Robbins for almost 7 years, got to travel the world with Tony and work on the content that he does on stage. Like if you know Tony, you know, Unleash the Power Within, Date with Destiny. So I got to travel the world, work on the content that Tony would deliver from stage and in his digital courses. But I got to the point that I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to work when I wanted to work, where I wanted to work, and how I wanted to work. I didn't know exactly how I was going to do that. But after about a year of thinking about how this might work, I took the leap. I became a freelancer and I started doing social media for small businesses. 13 years ago, it was like the Wild West. And so everyone and their mother was a social media manager. So it was kind of a weird world to kind of jump into entrepreneurship with, but I went for it. And before I left Robbins, we had been working on digital courses. And I knew that I wanted to teach marketing in digital courses. But when I left, I thought, I don't know how to create a digital course. I don't even know what the heck I'm doing. And so for about 2 years, I was a freelancer and just took on a bunch of clients and did that for a long time, but realized I will only be able to make so much money because there's only one of me. And my personality is such that I didn't necessarily like working one-on-one with people. I wanted to teach. I wanted to reach the masses and I wanted to scale my business quickly. So my love of digital courses came from my own selfishness of wanting something different, wanting more freedom. But it's since over the last 13 years morphed into helping other people find that freedom, helping other people maybe balance between one-on-one work and a digital course. I don't think you need to give up your one-on-one work. I think you likely need to charge premium prices and only work with the clients that you absolutely love and supplement the rest of the revenue through a digital course. That's a model that I really love.
And that's sounding awesome. Yeah, a little bit of one-to-one, a little bit of one-to-many kind of thing.
Yes.
All right, then. So I challenge you. Tell me in one sentence why it's golden to consider building a digital course.
Ooh, one sentence why it's golden to build a digital course. Yeah. Because life is very different when you choose how to live your life. And I believe creating a digital course allows you the freedom to choose how you want to live your life and build your business.
I'm gonna rewind this and it's gonna go on my wall.
I feel it deep in my soul. I just have seen it from so many of my students, what digital courses have allowed for them. And I just feel like I want to help as many people as I can really understand what they could do with digital courses.
It is getting that understanding, that opening of your mind, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely. So, all right then. So do you have to have been running your business for a long time to build a digital course, in your opinion?
Question. I love this. So do you have to be running your business for a long time? Absolutely not. But let me explain why. So when I teach people how to create digital courses, the very first thing that usually comes to mind is, what would I create a digital course about? If I'm a copywriter, am I taking everything I know to be a great copywriter and putting it in a digital course? Or am I taking one area like how to write sales pages? Or what am I doing? The topic always comes up. What topic am I going to create for my course? And so when I hear that, the first thing I teach is that everybody has a digital course in them because all you need is a 10% edge. So the 10% edge is you looking at where you've gotten results for yourself or for your clients And then asking yourself, could I figure out a roadmap of how I got those results? Because the roadmap is what you put into a digital course. And so you don't need years and years of certification. You don't need tons of experience. Like, I've been a copywriter for 10 years, so that gives me the right to create a course. No, you need to have gotten results for yourself or for somebody else. So you're 10% ahead of those you serve. And now you need to lay it out in a roadmap so that people can follow to get similar results.
Fantastic. Right. So that's going to give a lot of my audience more confidence, because it's one of the main questions they ask, do I not have to have done it for so long?
Right.
Okay, right. So just moving on a minute, because this is all about people as well for you, right?
Yes.
Who's your most memorable student? And, how did they know they were ready to build a digital course?
Okay, so since we're talking freelancers, I wanted to find a copywriter, but I looked in my arsenal of all my success stories, and one stood out more than the rest, so I wanted to tell her story. Her name is Becca. She's a freelancer, not a copywriter, and she helps people custom code Squarespace websites.
Okay.
So she started out taking one-on-one clients. That's all she did. And she didn't have a college education. She didn't have fancy training, but she was really good at what she did. And so she worked with these clients and then realized, I am so burnt out. I've reached my max. When you work one-on-one with clients, some of the clients you love, others not so much. And helping people create websites, that's a little bit grueling because they've got so many ideas, so many thoughts, and you go back and forth a million times. I know, because I've had websites created. So she got to the point that she thought, I don't want to do this anymore. And so that's when she thought, well, what if I put everything that I do with a one-on-one client, if I put it into a course and I sell it that way? And she wasn't exactly sure what she was doing, but she got Digital Course Academy, a program I offer, and she walked through all of the steps and boom, she did it. And so she did 2 launches. She's getting ready for her 3rd, and she's made over $100,000 with 2 launches of the same digital course. So let me back up a little bit. One of the beautiful things about digital courses is that once you put the time and effort to create a course, then you get to launch it over and over and over again. You can do so by launching it on Evergreen, so you sell it every single day, or you can do live launches where maybe a few times a year you sell your course. You've got both options there, but that way you don't have to constantly be reinventing the wheel. And when you have an asset in your business that makes you money, what happens is you can have consistent revenue and you can have confidence knowing I know how to make money online without having to work one-on-one with somebody. So now she doesn't take any more one-on-one clients. She said, if I ever get the feeling again that I want to, I absolutely will, but I don't need to now. And I believe, so I know we're talking to a lot of copywriters, and what I want to put out there is that you might think, oh, Amy, I can't turn what I do into a digital course. I work one-on-one with people where there's pitching and catching. I ask them questions and they tell me about their personal experiences, their businesses and all that. And I create something very unique for those people. Well, the truth is that the people's experiences are different. The people's life journey has been different. Their businesses are different. I give you that. But usually at the end of the day, when it comes to others wanting to write their own copy, we all have the same challenges. What do we say? Where do we start? How do we convert with our words? Like, they're all the same challenges. So you want to think about the challenges that your audience faces and then ask yourself, can I address those challenges with what I can teach them in my course? And there's different types of courses you can create. There's a starter course, which is like a basic 101 course, but there's also a spotlight course. And I think this would work really well for freelancers where you take one area of your expertise. Like I mentioned earlier, what if you're really good at building sales pages? Or what if you're really good at writing quizzes? Quizzes are very hot right now. And what if you're a copywriter that writes really good quizzes? A lot of people cannot afford you. And maybe you've gotten to a point that you don't even want to take any more clients. If you put it into a course, I can promise you there's a lot of people who would love to learn what you know, but they want to do it themselves because they can't afford a high-end copywriter. So there's always areas of your expertise that you can put into a course.
Oh, fantastic. So it really is accessible. There are different ways of approaching a digital course
Yes,
then.
absolutely.
That's amazing. So, okay. So adding a digital course is a great new income stream for a business. Why? Well, you kind of already answered this, but why is it so powerful to consider for freelancers who are already, like they're booked out?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is great for income, but why add a digital course to that? Can you speak just direct to
Yes.
that? That'd be
So
awesome.
you're right. A lot of people that I work with, freelancers especially, they are booked out. Like there's more business than they can actually take, which is a beautiful thing for a freelancer. But what happens, as I mentioned earlier, is that there's only one of you, and that means there's only so much money you can make. Now, of course, you can grow your team. Absolutely. But there's something magical about creating a course and launching it. And once it's launched and you put it out into the world, you get to take a step back and you get to take a breather and you get to decide, okay, I'll decide the next time I launch it. Because when I launched Digital Course Academy, for 9 weeks, I'm with my students. Every single week, I do live Q&As. I'm answering their questions. I'm in the experience with them. After those 9 weeks, you can bet I have a little staycation with my husband planned. You can bet that I'm spending a little more time relaxing and watching Netflix than I am taking care of the business because I want a break. So having a digital course allows you to go hard, get in there, do your thing, and then pull back and have those ebbs and flows so you have some white space in your business, which is a huge concept for those that are constantly working every single day for somebody else. That's another thing. A lot of freelancers have gotten into, unfortunately, the situation where they feel like they're working for someone else. They're on beck and call for the people they serve. Now, that's not for every freelancer. Some freelancers have it dialed in and they just are running a smooth business, and I commend that. But I work with a lot of students who just feel like I need a break from working with one-on-one clients and I want to try something different. And digital courses is a perfect answer for that.
I have heard that so many times about them feeling like I'm owned, and yeah, I totally get that. You can even plan out your year, can't you?
Yes,
really, as well. You can have it on your terms.
Yeah, that's the beautiful thing. When I start a new year, I already know every single time when we're launching, what products are on Evergreen, when I'm going to do a special event. I know my entire year, which means you can bet I'm planning vacations in all the other little spots. The older I get, the more I realize, holy cow, I need more downtime than I did when I was in my 20s. And so I'm constantly planning that. But it does feel good to look at your year and know what you're doing at the beginning of the year. It's a great feeling.
Fantastic. So, okay, right. What new things will students learn from you that work so successfully?
So in Digital Course Academy, one of the things that I teach is how to do webinars. Now, a lot of people, when they've never done webinars before, they'll say, whoa, I don't want to do a webinar. The technology, getting on video, like there's a million things that could go wrong. And there are things that could go wrong for sure. But what I can promise you is there's no better sales vehicle out there for a digital course than webinars. And the reason for that is that webinars, typically for about 45 minutes, you are just giving amazing value. They get to see your personality, how you teach, what you know. They get to walk away, no matter if they buy or not, they walk away with value, which means they might come back later to buy if they don't buy then. But then you ease into selling. And what I always say is, if you believe in the course that you create, then you'll believe that the next logical step for them is to get into that course. So it feels easier to sell. But in Digital Course Academy, I go through the webinar slides, slide by slide by slide, so that most people that come into my world have never done this before. So I virtually hold their hand and walk them through that. Also, to back up just a little bit, at the very beginning of the course, I teach them how to make 9 key decisions before they start their digital course. And one of the decisions is if you're going to do a founding member type launch, which is, are you going to float your idea out there, make sure people will pay for it before you actually create it? And I am such a fan of actually pre-selling and then creating, because if nobody buys, then you don't need to create the product and we can go back to the drawing board and figure out what we missed so we can go back out there. We never quit. We just kind of tweak a little bit. So I just work with a lot of people who might have the courage to get started, but not the confidence. They don't have a track record of successful digital courses. So I hold their hands through the process.
That I really found that so useful, Amy, when I was going through that. It made a massive difference to have that support. And then I can attest to this. You always over deliver on your webinars. I came away even from the first one going, I didn't realize that.
I love that. Thank you. That's what I enjoy most, doing webinars. Now, when I did my first webinar, I did it with Tony Robbins, and I was still working in corporate. And the night before his big webinar, I accidentally deleted the webinar, and all 800 people got a message that this webinar is deleted and not happening. And so I've had my share of horror stories with technology and webinars and all of that. But since then, I've done hundreds of them, and I can't even imagine where I'd be in my business today if I didn't take the leap and have the courage to try them on my own. And I was terrified the first time I did it. But if I had something like what I teach in DCA, oh my goodness, I'd have so much more courage to get out there.
I just wish I had you like 2 years ago, honestly. No, honestly, it makes so much difference, especially when people are raw and they tell you things they've done that haven't worked, it's a bit more real.
So
true.
Somebody
going, I'm so amazing. Okay, right. So, how big does your email list have to be? So if they've already started to get subscribers from their website or their audience on social media, does it need to be big to successfully launch a digital
Absolutely
course?
not. So this is a question I get asked a lot. So I'm glad you brought it up. So I always say that it's all about the quality, not the quantity of your email list. And I have hundreds and hundreds of success stories. And one of the things that we did a few years ago is we found the success stories where people had less than 500 people on their email list. So when I told you about Becca, she had 500 people on her email list in order to get to the kind of money where she made $100,000 with 2 different launches. I have another student. He is a photographer. He had 100 people on his email list. He made $12,000 with a spotlight course. I mentioned a spotlight course earlier where you take one area of your expertise and go deep. Well, his expertise was flash photography. So he taught flash photography in a course, made $12,000 with 100 people on his email list. Do you need an audience? Do you need an email list? Absolutely. I think everyone should have an email list if they're running a business online, but it doesn't need to be a huge email list for this to work.
Fantastic. Okay, well, that's answered their question on that one. This is something that I've heard, and I've actually helped other people with this, but it's a question I get a lot. I get stressed when it comes to tech. Creating a digital course means that we have to use tech, right? So how do you help with that so your students?
So tech is a big thing that stops people in their tracks. And I'm the first to say I'm not very techie at all. And so it's just scary and overwhelming, especially like no one teaches us how to use these tools in school. So then we look at these tools and we're like, what? So I'm well aware that most of my students don't feel comfortable with the tech. So over the last few years, I've built out a beautiful tech library in my programs where I walk people click by click through what they need to know in order to get things set up. I never assume that you're just going to figure it out on your own. You paid me to teach you how to do it. So I take that into the tech as well. I also only recommend tools that are affordable. Most people coming into my courses don't have tons of money to throw at it. So we need to be really cautious of spending tons of money on the tech, especially when you're not making money yet with your course. So yeah, we have a tech library and we walk people through click by click.
Oh, fantastic. Well, that will make so many people feel a lot better, especially, I mean, I consider myself to be pretty good at tech, but even, like the step-by-step guides, I can attest to that. They were amazing. Okay, so now, how much time then do students need to build a digital course? Because it is a consideration, especially when they've got the other things they need to do.
So it always frustrates me when I see people online say, I'll teach you how to create a course and launch it in 30 days. I do not believe in that. I believe that you are creating an asset in your business that you are going to use over and over again. So let's make it great. So I always say, give yourself at least 60 days, 90 days if you've got a hectic schedule and a busy business so that you can just do it right. The beautiful thing is not once have I had a success student say to me, I made $50,000, but it took way too long. That has never been part of the conversation. So give yourself at least a good 60 to 90 days to get your course up and running, longer if you need it. We always offer lifetime access into my program so people can come back to it again and again. But I think that's a really good time frame to get it done.
Fantastic. Okay, so finally, Amy, thank you for answering all the questions. But finally, what's your vision for students like my audience, particularly, who want to create and launch digital courses?
What's my vision for them? My vision is that they get to figure out what business and life looks like on their terms. At the end of the day, it's not all the strategies I teach. It's not all the webinar stuff and the technology and the course creation. That stuff I love to teach. But what I'm really striving for is to help more people realize what will light them up in their business. How can they serve in a bigger way? How can they live a life that they absolutely love? So all the hard work is absolutely worth it. You know, I think about one of my students, Savannah, and she is a coach for nonfiction authors, or not nonfiction, fiction authors. And I love her so much. And I love her story because she would work one-on-one with coaches and then realized again, that it's just something that she didn't want to do a lot of. And so she decided to take her framework and put it into a digital course. And she didn't do webinars. So not everybody follows everything I teach, but they still can have great success. And I love that. I love when someone does it on their terms. So she decided to not do webinars, but she promoted through an email list. She had a bigger email list and a bigger social media following. And so she made $40,000 her first launch, $50,000 her second launch. And she's able to help these people go from her course is called Notes to Novel. So they actually have a first draft of their novel by the end of working with her. And I want to point something out. When I say they're going to have their first draft of their novel when they're done working with her, a lot of people who are scared to get started with a digital course, they'll say, okay, but you can't guarantee that. You're not writing it for them. So how can you guarantee those results? What you're guaranteeing is that you're going to lay out the roadmap. You're going to support them in their process. You're going to tell them everything they need to know and show them how to do it. There's two people in this equation, the course creator, the trainer, and the person going through the program. They have to do the work. They have to show up. You'll do everything you can to get them to do so, but it's also on them. So what you're promising is the roadmap. I'll show you how to get results. You got to show up and do the work. So hopefully that takes a little bit of stress off those that are like, how do you promise these results? Well, that's how you look at it. But circling around, getting back to your final question, and that is, I really do want people to be able to create a life and a business on their terms. And digital courses give you more freedom, flexibility, creativity, financial freedom to actually build the business that you love. So I hope somebody listening today, or many people listening today, will think, well, I at least want to explore it. What might it look like for me? Because there's tons of people who have created courses in my world who thought at one point, there is no way I can take what I know and make money with it in a course. And then they surprise themselves every single time.
Oh, that's just awesome. Honestly, if I can just inspire one more person to take this journey, I want to, because it's so powerful, isn't it, Amy? And I can't describe how powerful it is to start a life like that. And you've been the inspiration for me over the last year, and I've made massive strides. So I'd like to say thank you so much, and thank you for being a guest on the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
I will leave a link in the show notes for anyone who feels really inspired with what Amy's created, to get over there and have a look at that, because
thank you, friend. Awesome. I appreciate you having me.
Thank you ever so much, Amy.
You too.
Have
Bye.
a good day.